There's news of more kidnappings in Nigeria. Authorities report that suspected Islamist militants kidnapped 8 girls aged 12 to 15 overnight from a village near the group's stronghold in northern Nigeria. This is the latest outrage. The Islamist group named Boko Haram claimed responsibility for the April 14th abduction of nearly 300 schoolgirls. In a video released to the media on Monday, Boko Haram threatened to sell the girls. Meanwhile, the military's inability to find the girls sparked protest in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Demonstrators have also marched at UN headquarters here in New York in the hope of drawing global attention. California Congresswoman Karen Bass is the ranking member of the U.S. House of Representatives Subcommittee on Africa. She was one of the first U.S. lawmakers to speak out on the crisis, and she joins us from Capitol Hill. Congresswoman Bass, welcome to Arise America, and thank you so much for taking some time with us. I really do appreciate it.
Sure, thanks for having me on.
You know, I think I just want first your personal reaction to this tragedy in Nigeria.
You know, I just think that it is such an outrage. It's so tragic. My heart just absolutely breaks for the mothers and fathers and other family members that, you know, are desperate to find out what's happening with their girls. And I really think that this is an opportunity for the international community to mobilize and get to the bottom of this and bring those girls home.
I'm assuming that you've been in communication with some of our diplomats to Nigeria. Can you give us any clarity on why it seems the Nigerian government is taking so long to find and rescue these girls?
Well, you know, I do think it's a very complicated situation. I can tell you that from the U.S. perspective, the U.S. Undersecretary on Human Rights should have arrived in Nigeria by now. I know that she left yesterday, and we are going to provide, you know, whatever help the Nigerians need, including intelligence, you know, et cetera. But we do know that this is a difficult situation, especially if these girls have been moved out of Nigeria into neighboring countries. And so I know that they have asked for U.S. help. I know the U.S. is ready to help. But I do think that this has been very complex. And, you know, this is an opportunity for the world to learn now about Boko Haram. I mean, you and I know that their terrorism and their acts of horror have been going on for years, and specifically their attacks against students. This is one of the worst outrages, but you know they've been going into dormitories and killing male students, you know, almost on a monthly basis for quite some time now.
Yeah, just earlier this year it was that they killed 50 boys on a school campus, and it's just absolutely horrendous. What is at the disposal of the United States Congress to be able to do to help in this situation?
Well, I'll tell you that out of the Senate today, a resolution was passed calling on the United States to mobilize all of its efforts in this regard. Today we had a press conference and a moment of silence out in front of the House of Representatives. It was a bipartisan group of House members as well as senators. So you are going to find a lot of activity here on both sides on a bipartisan basis, and I'm really hoping that it will make a difference.
You know, the truth is that this kidnapping, as we already reported, happened on April 14th. That's 3 weeks ago, and for at least the first 2 weeks, the mainstream, quote-unquote, news outlets really didn't pay much attention, if any at all, to this story. Finally, some of the big major networks have. What is your thought about that, and why it's taken so long for our mainstream media to really give this story the attention it deserves?
Well, as you and I know, the mainstream media doesn't cover much in sub-Saharan Africa, period. And I think a lot of times when these, you know, incidents happen, it's viewed as the status quo. I think that's horrible. But I also think that this is what happens now in the new age of social media, where people can participate in a mass way, anybody and everybody. And it's the fact that there was worldwide outrage that raised it to the level where decision makers had to pay attention. I think it's unfortunate, but I do think that that's exactly what happened.
The United States has declared Boko Haram a terrorist organization, as well as Nigeria. But is Boko Haram a threat to the U.S. at all, or to our national security?
Absolutely. You know, anytime these kind of situations happen with these very destabilizing forces around the world, I don't care where the country is, it directly endangers us, because anytime you have an Al-Qaeda or a Taliban type group take root, I mean, how did 9/11 happen? Where were they based? They were based in Afghanistan, right? And so I think anytime you have a situation like this, we are always at danger. We have to recognize that the world it's an international community, and we have to be concerned about terrorism, terrorist groups, anywhere where they take a foothold.
All right, Congresswoman Karen Bass, we want to thank you so much for coming on Arise America, and we wish you all the best in your efforts to help in this tragic situation.
Thanks for having me on.
Clement Nwonkwo, is the director of the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, a human rights organization in Abuja, Nigeria, and he joins us on the phone. Clement, thank you so much for being here with us, and forgive me for butchering your name the first go around. It's Nwonkwo. I got it. Okay. So much attention has been paid to the perceived lack of effort on the part of the Nigerian government, to quell the violence of Boko Haram, and then certainly to find and rescue these girls. What should the government be doing that they're not?
Well, the government needs to tell Nigerians what it is doing, and we're not hearing anything. Indeed, it would seem that the government is just waiting for Boko Haram to run out itself, and that's not going to happen. Nigerians are shocked that what was initially confined to the farthermost part, not the most part of Nigeria, has escalated right to the center of Nigeria in Abuja, and it's continuing. The crisis is such that the government needs to take urgent action to address this problem, and really beyond even getting military action, seek international assistance to be able to address this.
Tell me, Clement, what are you hearing about any more details, either about the kidnapping itself or about where these girls are, or Boko Haram's intention for these girls?
Well, the Boko Haram leader has said that he is selling the girls. We don't know what has happened to the girls. We don't even know that they are still in Nigeria. So some of the reports coming out from the families and even from Boko Haram indicate that one or two of the girls may have died. We don't know even the safety or health conditions of these girls who have been taken for more than 2 weeks now, and it's really very distressing for us in Nigeria.
You know, it was almost 3 weeks before Boko Haram claimed responsibility for this act, and then just in the last 24 or 36 hours or so did this video surface of this supposed leader of Boko Haram threatening to sell these girls into marriage and perhaps even more heinous acts. Why do you imagine it took so long? What does that tell you?
Well, certainly they had control of these girls, and they would have been trying to secure them within their custody without interference from the security services. And we haven't seen any action on the part of the security services. Indeed, what we did see the security services put out was a false story that they had recovered these girls, and they later denied that this had not happened. Meaning that if the parents of the girls had not spoken out to say, no, these girls have not been found, the story would have been buried. Certainly the government has started doing nothing, unless they started a few days ago. Government has denied even through the wife of the president that this incident took place at all. If not for the outrage that Nigerians have expressed on the streets, and the parents of these girls and the principal of the school all raising concern that the government is not doing anything to take action.
Yeah, and speaking of those protesters, as we understand that it was reported, at least in this part of the world, there was one of the organizers of the protester who apparently met with President Goodluck Jonathan's wife, Patience Jonathan, and was arrested shortly thereafter. At first, there were claims that the First Lady had her arrested. Can you bring us any clarity in the details of what actually happened here?
Well, one of the foster parents of the girls was in the meeting with the First Lady on Sunday evening, and then the next morning she was, in fact, she was picked up at the venue of the meeting and arrested by the police in Kets until protesters went to the police station, and the police had to release her and her other colleague. 2 of them have been arrested, have been released at this time. But again, it underscores the point that the president and his wife did not even accept the fact that these girls were kidnapped or abducted in the first place.
What do you imagine is the end game for Boko Haram, which, by the way, means Western education is sinful? They took almost 3 weeks to claim responsibility for this act. To my knowledge, there's been no demand for ransom. What is it that they're trying to achieve with this?
Well, certainly what they are doing is, of course, emphasize that they want to discourage people going to school. They have gone to schools in the past and killed students who were in their dormitories, in their hostels, in the middle of the night in their sleep, and then gone to this other school now and abducted the girls. So certainly they are trying so hard to discourage children, young people from going to school, which is one aim. The other, of course, is that the huge numbers that are kidnapped in this particular case, more than 200, would certainly draw attention to them, and that's certainly what they have achieved.
Clement Nwonkwo, thank you so much, Clement. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you.